Hello. Before we start, I just want to say, I don't plan on debating you. I don't plan on having a conversation with you. If you want to make a video responding to my video, I don't really care. I'm going to make one video, maybe two, about you, specifically arguing your points in this video for this one. Hopefully it's not an hour long. If it is, then oh well. If you wish to have a conversation, respond to this video or comment on this video. I will not be allowing you in my server. My admins have expressed permission to ban you upon you joining or when they desire to do so. And there are some things that you can do that will instantly get you banned, regardless. With that said, I just want to get the preamble over. No talking too much because we're gonna be here for a while and I don't have a long time. So let's get started, shall we? Now, I'm gonna give a viewer discretion advised warning. This is the first time and the only time I'll probably do this on this channel, hopefully. This person and his arguments are some of the most disgusting things I've seen in my entire life. Keep that in mind when you watch this video. You will probably be disgusted by it. If you're okay with that, keep watching. If not, then I don't blame you for not watching this one. A like would be appreciated. I'm pretty sure this one's going to be a hard one for the algorithm. I'm trying to buy me some time before we get into it. But yeah, without any more preamble, that should be everything. Let's just go ahead and talk about Dan's bust, god-awful defense of zoophilia.
A lot of anti-zoophiles think that raping an animal is morally wrong and makes you a bad person. And people have, of course, asked them, why is that any different than eating an animal? I'm not against people eating animals. The anti-zoophiles will reply that we have to eat animals for nutrition, and even if we didn't, vegan stuff would be more expensive. But what if this weren't true? Here's my main claim. Even if all humans had readily available 100% nutritious bland tofu.
Now, I'm gonna wait for him to make a point so I can argue it instead of just calling him immoral. As for the tofu thing, soy is a very common food allergy, and that is what tofu is. It is a soy product. Meaning, if you have a soy allergy, you cannot eat tofu. Therefore, people would still need to eat meat, because meat is most people's main source of protein. And protein is something your body requires. Now, if you don't have a soy allergy, you could also not like tofu because you don't like bland food. I don't personally like bland food. I like my food to have flavor. And while you can make tofu have flavor, it's easy to make meat have flavor. Meat has natural flavor. It's just easier. Also, you're gonna make this claim later, and I'll go into more detail then. But I am 99.9% sure that because we are apex predators, that's what humans are labeled, we are animals and we are apex predators, we have a obligation to protect our food sources, which means the animals that we eat. Specifically, cows, pigs, and chickens. Those are the three most common. And turkeys, I guess. Unless you're working at Butterball, then you do snow to the turkey corpses. Because of this, we have an obligation to protect those food sources. Therefore, our relationship with those animals are symbiotic, meaning we both benefit from it. We get meat and they get protection and get to have continue their bloodline. As you point out, animals only really care about reproduction. And I don't think that's entirely accurate because of other animals, but we'll go with your point there for the time being. And I'll argue it when we get there.
Killing an animal for its taste is a bigger harm to the animal than raping it for pleasure would be. Some say that non-mutilative rape would somehow traumatize an animal so much that it would be worse than killing them. We know this isn't true, because animals who are raped don't become suicidal.
Now, while animals do not commit self-deletion, they do, however, have the capacity to be depressed. And while that alone will not lead to self-deletion ideation, it still shows that they can be mentally affected by the actions we do to them. Example, an abused animal will snap at people if they step on if they accidentally step on their tail, or if they step too close to them, and they'll be depressed over stuff. They'll like it's obvious if you've had pets that were abused, that you can tell when they have these issues. You are not putting the animals in the same capacity as humans. Like, actions that make humans depressed aren't immoral because it could lead to suicide. It is immoral because you are harming another person. Because you're harming another person, they are having emotional problems from it, depression or other such things. So by this logic, if we apply that same logic to animals, then it would be immoral to do any actions that could cause an animal depression, anxiety, anything like that. So, yes, awing animals is not something you should do because it can lead to depression, and depression is inherently harmful to a being's life. Arguably more so than death, because again, symbiotic relationships exist, and that's what ours are with animals we eat. It's symbiotic. I'll explain it in a minute, whenever we get to that point.
Sure, some dogs who are traumatized by owners might stop accepting food from other people, but this is because of fear and lack of trust in people. If you leave food in an empty room with them, they're gonna eat it, instead of starving themselves.
Animals will stop themselves. That's all to say. Google is your friend. Google. Do animals starve themselves? Yes, they do. To death, even. I don't have to talk about, why you're wrong with stuff that we know happens. Wild animals will do this. Domestic animals will do this. Farm animals will do this. All animals do this. Abuse can be a factor. There's also other factors, like if they're dying, they won't eat. Like, there's so many factors that go into why animals starve themselves. I don't feel like explaining all these stuff to you because I don't have the. Well, I do have the time. I guess I could take longer in a day to make this, but I don't want to, because the longer I have to watch this video is the longer I have to hear you defend immoral actions.
All non-human species value reproduction first, then life, and then avoiding pain, in that order and without exception. Barring self-sacrifice to save their young, there hasn't been a single documented case of pet animals or wild animals committing suicide.
Now, wild animals have not been proven to commit suicide. It is proven that stress-related stuff will lead them to self-destructive behavior, like an animal that's grieving, they will do self-destructive behavior. There are also insects like honeybees and others that will just die if they do some things. Honeybees stinging, and then there's social insects that will die through an act of altruism. There's a lot you could look into. It's it's not interesting. Animals are dying. It's interesting in the stance of you're wrong, and you're wrong because you didn't do enough research.
Speaking in spiritual terms, God made a natural hierarchy of all living things: bacteria, plants, invertebrates, vertebrates, non-human mammals, humans, angels, and God. To place an animal's will before a human's will in any moral consideration is to debase God's vision of humans as the natural rulers of Earth. The angel Lucifer tried to subvert this hierarchy by leading angels in a revolt against God, the natural ruler of the heavens. Lucifer wanted to impose his own will above God's, so he was sent to hell, becoming Satan. Literally, the origin of all sin in this universe comes from subversions of natural hierarchy.
Hello, hi, I'm a pagan, so I've asked my Christian friend for this info. So I'm gonna give you the TLDR version because I don't feel like you want to hear me read Bible quotes for a little bit. Essentially, the reason why uh Lucifer revolted was hubris. He was prideful. His goal was to corrupt God's creation. And as for the hierarchy you said, humans are actually above angels. But angels and humans have different nature. And we don't have the powers of angels, obviously. But just because they have more power than us does not mean they're stronger than us. It just means they have more power than us. We are made in God's image in the Christian faith. And because of that, we are above everything besides God himself in the Christian faith. So, by this logic, if angels were real and we could interact with them, it would be moral by your logical assumption to eat and do whatever we want to angels because we are above them in the moral hierarchy, or in this hierarchy. But angels are sentient and also have free will, so they would be given more consideration because of that, right? Except animals also have free will, and a lot of them have like the sentience of a child, but you also think children should be fucked, so you know. I guess that doesn't matter much. This hierarchy point means nothing. You don't know what you're talking about spiritually in the Christian faith, and even if we apply this logic to the hierarchy, you would not say humans should eat angels because it sounds stupid. So this entire point you made here is irrelevant. I just wanted to point out that in this statement, while yes, it is a statement trying to subvert the like hierarchy, his goal was to basically throw a tantrum because he didn't think humans should be made in God's image. Because he believed angels were better. But we're better because we're above everything except God. Anyway, that's my little religious thing. I'm done talking about religion now. Unless you want to bring up the pagan faith, then, well, my pagan faith, then I could talk about that for a while. You will not like the outcome there.
But even if you're a materialist, you can't deny that there is a clear hierarchy in terms of cognitive capacity. Bacteria, plants, non-human animals, and then humans.
I'm gonna use dogs and cats because they're the ones I know the most about. Dogs are about as intelligent as a 2 to 2.5-year-old in human years. And cats, I believe, are 2 to 3-year-old in human years. Meaning that pet animals, cats and dogs specifically, should have the same moral consideration of a 2 and a 3-year-old on your logic, based on your logic. Now let's do. I'm not gonna do farm animals because symbiotic relationships. There's a lot I can talk about symbiotic relationships and our relationship with our farm animals, but that's irrelevant to this point. My point is, the hierarchy you're stating does not actually make sense when we realize that animals are not as stupid as we're saying they are. Well, you're saying they are. Most animals have intelligence of a 2 to 3-year-old. So, morally speaking, if we were to give them any moral consideration, it should be the same that we give a 2 to 3-year-old. But again, as I said earlier, you'd be okay with somebody fucking a kid, so I guess that doesn't really change anything for you in this case.
Should zoophilia be illegal?
Yes, it should be illegal. I don't know why you're asking. I know why you're asking, because you're a degenerate that wants to fuck animals. But yes, it should be illegal. I don't know what to say about that, but then yes.
Some people think that violently hunting or having sex with an animal would reinforce violent or sexual psychological habits that would carry over to more violent or sexual actions and thoughts about real humans.
Now, you'd have a point if there wasn't a documented link between serial killers and animal cruelty. So, acts of animal cruelty, which is what you're describing, directly lead to people being more likely to harm other people. Because serial killers like John Wayne Gacy, Jeffrey Dahmer, no, all these big name serial killers, and even those who aren't big named, all start by killing an animal. Hunting is different because it's specific to a season and you hunt for food typically. There are some people who trophy hunt, and I don't like trophy hunting, but sadly, that's something you gotta deal with in a society like ours. But animal cruelty, directly harming animals for no reason, does translate to humans being more likely to harm other humans. This is a non-debatable fact. If you did any research, you'd know this. But you didn't do research. You instead argued points from out of your ass, or wherever the fuck you pulled these from.
We reinforce violent and sexual psychological habits indirectly, all of the time, when we watch digital content like violent video games and internet pornography.
Now, inherently, there is no link between, at least video games and violence. Media, there's a little bit more of a link, but it's short-term. But even then, it's in younger viewers. So, the takeaway from this is, watch your kids, don't let your TV do it. But, sitting here and arguing this shows that you don't know what you're talking about, because literally 5 seconds on Google would have told you that the American Psychological Association, I believe that's what it's called, did research into video games specifically and showed no direct correlation between violent video games and violence or violent behaviors in adults. Now, again, in younger children, sure, because they're impressionable, but overall, there is none. So if you let your kids watch age-appropriate stuff, there's no issue, and that's always been the case. But you're fear-mongering to try and prove a point, because you don't know what you're talking about. Because you're talking about legality, and the only legality you know is you'll get arrested if you fuck an animal. Or a child.
It's similar for internet pornography. It doesn't make people more likely to be rapists.
Except, internet pornography, while not impacting, if you will, personally abuse somebody, it impacts you in other ways that are also negative, like your mental health. It can contribute to emotional and medical illness and can cause specifically anxiety, depression, and other negative mental health effects. It can impact brain development, so again, kids shouldn't be interacting with it. It can lead to risky sexual behavior and sexual aggression, and could lead to sexual harassment in some people. Not all, some. Porn's one of the easiest things to get addicted to as well. That's up there with alcohol and gambling. There's a large amount of social impact, and there's a lot of negatives to internet pornography, or just pornography in general. I don't care. It's an adult's risk, like everything in life. If you want to risk your safety and stuff, you can. I'm not gonna fault you for it. But you can't sit here and say there is no negative effect on people and be accurate, because there is a negative effect on people. You just didn't do enough research into the thing you're talking about.
Acting violently through digital proxies doesn't bleed over into the human world. Neither does acting violently through animal proxies.
Look up any serial killer and tell me that. Ironically, you're saying this. Look up any serial killer and it will tell you that animal cruelty literally has a direct connection to human cruelty as well.
Another more immediate issue with outlawing or tabooing violence against proxies is that it actually creates more harm by criminalizing and shaming people who would have never committed violence or sexual assault against other humans in the first place. The proxy carryover argument is one of the main justifications that people and lawmakers have used for government censorship and bans on violent video games and lolicon.
Most governments don't ban violent video games. Sure, there are some governments like Australia that will, but the US of A has not banned a single video game specifically because it's violent. Now, they have banned some video games due to the content in it being too outrageous. Like, there was a game, I don't know if it still exists, it probably was banned, where you played as a school shooter. Yeah, that's probably gonna get banned. As for Lolicon, I have nothing to say about your defense of this, except it's painfully obvious that you jork it to animals in Lolicon. One of which is actually illegal in a lot of states. Having beast porn is illegal in a couple of states. I'd have to look up, but I think yours is one of them. And Lolicon, you're going to bring up in Canada, being banned in Canada, is one of the things I agree with, because it's disgusting. It is depictions of children being sexual that is inherently bad. And don't say, it's the 1,000-year-old Jack. No, it's elementary schools. It's like actual children. Every single, like, clip from, not clip, one of those like manga panel re-uploaders on Twitter, whenever they post it, it's like, oh, but I'm actually 13 or some bullshit. I think it says it's the age, but yeah, it's obvious the goal is to get neats like y'all to jork it to children, and it's disgusting and should be illegalized. And I will back that up with my full chest.
With Tibbles Hart's tweets saying that zoophiles should be shot on site, I mean, she clearly believes that it's a necessary implication. Which is to say, according to her, if you practice zoophilia, then you must be, without fail or exception, a bad person.
Yeah, typically animal abusers are bad people. I'd hate to tell you. And I agree with the sentiment. If you wanna, have intercourse with an animal, I think you should be put down like a rabid dog. That's all I have to say on the matter.
Tibbles wants to have it both ways. On one paw, she wants free use and spread of internet pornography, while on the other paw, she wants to magically make it so that no pony ever develops any sexual fetishes which are conventionally immoral. This second bit of activism is supposed to happen through creating social taboos, like the never-ending moralistic crusade which is against, among other things, L Money's art, Lolly and Zoo, and pro-ship, which is problematic shipping, fiction, and art.
Now, I'm not gonna get into methods I've seen people groom minors. I've seen a lot and they disgust me. But Lolicon, Volcon, whatever, pro-ship, all that, are methods I've seen predators groom minors. So there is a harm with having those things. Now, as for your desire to sleep with animals, that is also inherently wrong, due to the fact that you are harming an animal. But animals are below us in the hierarchy. The hierarchy you gave is bullshit. It's based in idiocy. Idiotic claims by an idiotic person who has no idea what he's actually talking about. And social taboos exist not because leftist, whatever you're trying to say, enforces them. They exist because us as a society, us as a species, has a moral consensus that this is bad behavior and it should remain bad behavior. That is why taboos come and go. Like being gay was originally a taboo, but now it's not. This is how taboos work. It is a social consensus that changes depending on multiple factors. I do not want to see zoophilia and pedophilia be de-tabooized, whatever it is. They should remain social taboos because they are immoral behavior. Your defense for morality is weak. Your defense for legality is weaker because you use porn and other media to try to make your point. But the difference is, there is no harm with those things, but there is a harm with the thing you're doing because it's animal cruelty. And you're refusing to accept that you are in the wrong because you are an immoral person. I am done going on my rant. I will cut this down a little bit probably. Especially the part where I started choking and dying. I'm gonna save y'all the mental strain of listening to his voice anymore and explain the rest of the video. He talks about some irrelevant person for a few minutes, probably like 5 or something like that, and then says you should befriend zoophiles instead of hate them because they're good people. They just hurt animals, but they're good people. Now, I feel like I don't need to explain to you my opinion on zoophilia. I feel like me being adamantly against it for the majority of my life. Well, I say majority of my life, since I've known what it is. I've always known it's been immoral to fuck animals. Some people don't, apparently. And it's making me lose my mind. This is a real person. This is not a troll. This is a person who thinks he's right. Now, as for the video, he said people shouldn't criticize his editor in a different video because they don't make videos. So I make videos. I make videos for money. I'm an editor for somebody. Your editor plays your music too fucking loud. I could barely hear you in some parts of this. You need to tell them to learn how to mix audio better. That is, from me to them, mix audio better. It is not hard to learn how to do. It is a skill that I've had for, how old am I, 26, for like 10 years now. I could do it at 16. That's when I started making videos. So you can do it now. You can learn how to do it, and then maybe these videos will be tolerable to watch. I mean, aside from the person sharing their incorrect views on everything, the clips making no sense with what's being talked about, the long pauses because you don't want to read it, use text-to-speech or something, please. I don't want to sit here and read in your video. There's more as well. This video is garbage. The hot dumpster fire is the worst video I've seen in my entire life. That's a lie. It's not the worst video I've seen in my entire life. It's one of the worst videos I've seen in my entire life. But it is awful. I do not recommend this channel. I don't think you should be watching this channel. Not even gonna link it down below. Mostly because I'm gonna ping the person in the thing so they see it. Anyway, I'll see y'all in the next video. If there is a next video after this, I have to decide if I'm not gonna go starve myself to death like an animal. That's a joke. I'm not gonna do that. Just me losing my mind some more. Anyway, without further ado, I'll see you in the video. See y'all in the next one. Bye! Oh yeah, and I do have a puppet. They have a V2 model. Don't want to use it for the video. Easy to just talk. Dan, if you're watching this far. So don't criticize me for not doing all of editing, because honestly I could, but why would I? It's a lot easier to just talk about you. Anyway, bye.